Greetings everyone, welcome to this advance. This game was played in Clutch Champions, and with the white pieces we have the world number 3 Fabiano Caruana facing off against the world number 1 Magnus Carlsen. So this is going to be an epic matchup. And even yesterday, Fabi and Magnus clashed, and the thing is that both of them, Fabi had so many chances to be able to win against Magnus, but he was not able to convert them. And the thing is that now he, after not converting them, he just completely collapsed and got like 1.5 points in a day. So this is a great chance for him to bounce back, and who to do that against than to against Magnus Carlsen. So definitely Fabi is gonna reach and dive into the deepest preparations that he has ever made, and it's really time to bounce back. So let's see what Fabi has in store for us. So without further ado, let's start with this game. Here Fabi goes for e4, and we have e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to b5. This is the Ruy Lopez. Here just knight to f6. This is the Berlin defense, and just castles in this position. Knight caps on e4. This is the Rio gambit accepted, and we have d4, knight to d6, bishop caps on c6, d captures, and just d caps on e5. This is the plain hermit variation, and here just going for knight to f5, and here we have queen caps on d8, king captures. Yes, you lose the ability to castle, and here after h3, now just going for king to d8, and this is the Berlin wall defense, and now knight to c3. So all of this is basically a theory up until now, but now in this position h5, and here just going for bishop to f4. So these games have been played, but after bishop to e7 and rook a to d1, you can see that white is doing spectacularly well once he gets the second rook into the game, and development wise black is doing not that much, and definitely white is going to get a lot of counterplay to be able to just play like this. And after bishop to e6, here knight to g5 was played, attacking that bishop, but just rook to h6, and this is the best move recommended by the engine, and Magnus finding it is no shock because it's just move 13, and definitely both of these are in their preparations. And here rook f to e1, just developing pieces, nothing new. You could have also gone for this knight caps on e6, but after rook captures, the trouble is g4 is a very nice line. After h captures, you play knight to h4, and after this knight to e2, now you just go f5. And if you go for this e caps on f6 en passant, then after bishop captures, knight to g3, white's position is absolutely fine. You can get the rook into the game. Definitely you cannot castle, obviously, because you moved the king earlier, and there are a lot more moves you can play in this position than to just trade, and definitely you will have some chances to be able to win this game. Well, after rook to h6, here rook f to e1 was played immediately, not going for trades, and just h4 in this position, taking further space. But now going for the same line, knight caps on e6, rook captures, and here just going for knight to e4. And in this position, I think b6 was played. This was a very long game that happened, and in the database I was checking, and the move that Magnus played, Magnus goes for c5, and c5, although looks fine and is fine, but c3 by Fabi, and this c3 preparation that he did definitely threw Magnus off, because Magnus goes for a bad move in this position. He goes for c4, not allowing b3, not allowing b4. Seems like a good move, but you can see the engine evaluation shifting, and with the level of play that you will see from Fabi, it just reminds me of the 2014 Sigfield Cup, where Fabi just crushed everyone. And you will love this game, believe me. This is a spectacular game that Fabi played against Magnus. After c3, here rook to b6 would have been much better. You play rook to b1, rook to d8, and after g3, just play h captures, f captures, rook to a6, now attacking the a2 pawn. And you can even give that up, but why just give it up? Just play a3, and after a move like maybe c4 now, then your position should be fine. But here immediately c4 is not a good idea, because your pieces are not that developed, and white is doing very fine, activity wise. But here after g4, now h captures en passant was played, f captures, and just b5. But now you're gonna have to justify the push that you've made, and the push is basically, you will see in chess people talking about this a lot, that whenever you push the pawns, whenever you push all of these things forward, it's always a committal decision. So be careful about the pawn pushes, because with the pieces you can push and move them back, but with pawns you cannot do that. And this is the problem in this position, that c4 pawn is much of a problem for black in this position than it is to white, and Fabi will prove it. Here king to f2 first, getting the king active here, and now just going for this b4, and here now just rook to e2, not worrying about that trade at all. But here rook to b8, and now h4 even. H4 is a beautiful move. You cannot, unfortunately, in this position, the thing is that you cannot go for a move like b4 in this position, because hey, the bishop jumps in and you lose the exchange. That's why here rook to e2 was played, and after rook to b8 just even h4, because that possibility does not exist anymore. Next move, what's going to happen is somewhere along the line you want to push those pawns all the way, but hey, just rook to a6, and now comes even h5. h5 is a brilliant move in this position, although not shown with an exclamation mark here, but it is a brilliant move. And the thing is that now I am preparing to push g4, and there will be no pawn to capture there, and there, even if you go for the check, the thing is that there is no rook hanging on e1, so that's why it's a good move. Here rook captures on e2, sacrificing an entire pawn, and if Magnus had captured it like I'm showing you in this line, then the thing is that g4, this was Fabi's idea. Knight to h6, now you go for even g5, and after bishop captures on g5, bishop captures, b captures on c3. Seems like you cannot capture, but you have something far greater in this position, which is knight to f6 check, and after king to e7 you play b captures on c3, and once this trade takes place, king to e6. But the trouble is just begun, because here in this position you could go for this very nice bishop captures on h6, and after g captures just go for this very nice king to e3. And I mean, you have a pass pawn, you can push it, you cannot capture it. If you capture it, then just this fork comes, and yeah, you can just say goodbye to that rook. So obviously you cannot capture it, but what you can do in this position instead of capturing it is, just go for this a5. And positionally, I mean, you are down a piece, but maybe you can have something with that pass pawn. It's highly unlikely, only a miracle can save you now, but maybe you could have tried something. But still, I mean, this bishop caps on h6 was a really nice idea, but still it's very difficult to try and do anything. But after h5, hey, king to f8 was played, and king to f8 is not at all a good move, and Fabi is on the driver's seat now. He goes for g4, knight to h6 now, and even king to f3. Here rook caps on a2, finally by Magnus, but now comes even g5, pushing the knight to f5, but hey, just going for king to g4, attacking the knight once more. G6 in this position, saving it. H captures, f captures, and now the trouble is you have given me the entirety of the back rank. Is it going to be good for you at all? No, really, it cannot be good for you. Hey, just e6 was played. Now comes bishop to d6. Bishop to d6 is a complete blunder in this position, and I'm going to ask you to pause the video, try and find out the only completely crushing winning move in this position, which wins the game right on the spot for, well, Fabi. Have at it. So congratulations to everyone who's able to find this move. The move is knight to f6, and Fabi finds this in this position. Here b caps on c3 was played with the idea that you cannot capture because your rook would be hanging, but here Fabi says, well, I'm not after anything. In this position, bishop caps on d6 would have been really crushing, because that's what you had to find out of knight to f6, that this was crushing, because here c captures, rook to h1, and there is nothing that can save you now. If you go for d5, this is the only way you can try to just run away with the king, but here rook to h7, and now you're getting checkmated. You have to be really careful. Knight to g7, but first e7 check, king to h7, e8 with a queen, and after rook captures, knight caps on e8. And if you decide to go for king to g8, just attacking the rook and trying to maybe survive in this position, just rook captures on g7. And now the thing is that here king to f8, and you're just getting checkmated here. There's nothing you can do. Whatever you do, first rook to h2 will come. If you try to go for the pawn, then the thing is that I think you can all see the move. First knight to f6, b1 queen, and this will be a very nice way to go in this position. But obviously, considering the fact that you do go for attacking that rook, but I don't think that's going to happen, but still, most likely this is how you would have either lost material or getting checkmated. But after b caps on c3, here rook to h1 immediately, and although loses a lot of advantage, but still here Fabi is in the driver's seat. Bishop caps on f3 was played, which is the best move recommended by the engine, but here just going for this very nice rook to h7, not even bothered to capture it. And now knight to g7 was played, rook to h8 check, king to e7, and now you've given me a complete rook for free. You just have very less material now. And the trouble is, if you don't move the bishop, there is a fork in the position as well. So what are you going to do in this position? Here rook caps on b2 was played, although not that accurate. You should have gone for the c caps on b2, and maybe you could have some chances, but it's very teeny tiny chances. A knight to d5 check would have occurred, king to d6, knight caps on f4, c3. You have two connected pass pawns, maybe a knight. It's impossible to survive, but this was the best that you had. e7, rook to a4, you go king to f3, and after a6, now just going for knight to d3. I'm never allowing you to push anything in this position. If you push this, then I just capture this. If you push this, the rook is already guarding it. There is not much you can do, but this was the best, and knight has to remain here, otherwise I just queen in the next move. But after rook caps on b8, here rook captures on b2 was played, and after rook captures, c captures, just knight to d5 check, king to d6, knight caps on f4, c3 was played by Magnus, but hey, just going for knight to e2, and it was on this move, on just move 38. Yes, you heard me right. On just move 38, the 5 times world champion Magnus Carlsen resigned the game, and Fabi got this spectacular victory in just 38 moves against the world's best. The trouble is basically you're not just down material, it's just you cannot do anything with the pass pawn, so you're going to have to push c2. Well, I am covering everything, even the c1 square with the knight, so you cannot push anything. And on top of all of this, I mean, you are down a complete rook, and if you haven't noticed, but other than that, this position is completely lost, and Magnus realizes that's why he chose to not play it anymore. But kudos to Fabi. The way he's played this game, it was absolutely amazing. When I was watching it live, I was really on the edge of my seat, playing this spectacularly. It's been a while since we've seen Fabi this ferocious, and when he goes all ferocious, he's definitely a beast. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back with some of these amazing games, so stay tuned to the channel, stay updated, and I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon. Thank you very, very much for watching.